No, just
I guess.
vibe them out. Just vibe it out, bro.
Oh, so yeah, like not try to like provide like an explanation, but just like kind of have an understanding or something.
Yeah, I
Like
think that
what,
I
you know?
I think that human qualia is of higher quality than human thoughts. So just vibe it
Mm.
out, bro.
Yeah, I feel like you ruin Christianity once you stand here and like you try to start like breaking down the word of God and like figuring out like
Mm.
what is means and all this type of like I think like the dude who's just like low IQ, you know what I mean, just goes and does his shits and raises his family and lives a really good life. I feel like that's what you should be trying to like achieve. And if you're really, really fucking smart and you can just go like, listen, bro, like this is how I'm supposed to live, and you just do it, you're probably better off than like a guy who has to have like 85,000 reasons for why God exists.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
dude, Tom, you know the meme where it's the bell curve and like the far left and the far right of the bell curve agree with each other, and then the midwit top is like being weird. It's something like that.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna need a source for that, right? You know, what I mean, it's like yo, it's the dude who says, I remember the Grug one was great. It was like fucking, it was the guy who was like, man, listen, you know, my grandpapa did it this way, so I'm gonna do it this way, right? And then like fucking the midwits like, you should listen to science and da 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 and all this nonsense, right? And then like fucking the upper echelon, like 145 IQ motherfucker, like 700 IQ, whatever it is, right? He's like, well, you know, your instincts ultimately are probably like your best judge for what you should do. So, you know, I mean, just live the way your fucking grandparents did, right? Like, you know, it's so fucking so basic.
Yeah, I was just talking about that with somebody else. Like, especially in like finance, like they tell you not to trust your gut. Like they just like just remove your heart, from your body and leave it at the door because the market is a cold, lifeless bitch and it doesn't give a fuck about your feelings. And it'll take like every cent from you and it doesn't care. It's not responsive to those things. But outside, because it's like basically like a big statistical machine that people use to like make money on, like, by pseudo gambling, based on like decent inferences or
Actually,
whatever.
actually, dude, Fedric, can I I think a
Mhm.
particular thing about that. I think so if you're like a nothing investor, like if you're contributing like $10 to the uh to the to the economy in the or sorry to the stock market,
Mhm.
you don't have any influence. So you can't really like contribute
Right.
your
Yes.
heart to it. But I think that like if you have enough money to actually put in and like put a little bit of sway in,
Mhm.
if you have the correct I guess like heart about it, if if you're not a cunt about it, if you're actually trying to be like a human about it, I think you might be able to do very well. And in fact, I think a lot of people have done very well with exactly that.
Well,
But
I think that a lot of that kind of steps out into the corporate world as well,
oh,
where
it
you
does
actually do
absolutely.
get to see like human like intuitions and shit at work. Like
Hmm.
if you imagine like the corporate ladder or like I don't know social sort of I don't know circumstances, it's just like shit like I don't know, like the figureheads and shit, like the world that they, operate in. Like a lot of that is driven by like emotion and like this human sort of like element that I don't know the market doesn't always, operate on.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, dude, I think that actually oftentimes the uh like human beings in corporate culture will default to whatever the rules are because the rules are very they protect them and they're a safety blanket, the rules. But if someone comes along and they just fucking break the rules and everything is okay, like human beings will just follow that because it's like, oh shit, okay, well, I guess that's allowed then. Like that's there's there's a human element in everything, and I think that there's been like a large push in our world to kind of try to like uh, distance science and how to run a company and all that kind of stuff from the human
yeah.
element because like science has told them, well, it's simply more efficient statistically to do this. But I just,
Mhm.
I don't think it's a good idea. I think that the human element is actually it's the smartest thing in the entire system, and trying to eliminate the human element is going to make your system kind of retarded.
I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I'm gonna tell you what. There's a lot of these people who like. There's these investors who are like they'll try to do like positive investing or whatever, or like do the right thing type of investing, but they get their asses
Oh, that's
handed to
gay.
them on a regular
No, but
basis.
that's gay.
Like they get their fucking heads caved in. There's like that one female. It's like, oh man, it's a female led fucking what is it, like ETF or whatever, right? And literally like all the shit she invests in just fails, right? Just all the time, right? And then they
No, but
constantly
you
have
don't
her on. You know what I mean?
you
Like
don't
virtue signal.
but you don't do that. Like that's okay, what I'm saying is that like if the entire market is going yo, you should invest in Boeing, and you're like, nah bro, I want to invest in Raytheon. Like both of them are going to blow up kids in the Middle East. It's not about morality, but it's like you got to, like, the human element is like saying fuck you Boeing, I'm going to invest in Raytheon or whatever the fuck it is. Like, because if you're investing to try to do good, you're playing the wrong game. But within the game of the stock market, there is a human element to it. Like that's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I feel you, like, because like literally, like the stock market is nothing more than just like what the economy says based on I don't even know, man. It's like what human beings buy and sell and like fucking the market share of how they move, right? And it's just a
Yeah.
way of measuring that and then trying to make money off of it.
Yeah, they reward you by making accurate predictions.
And actually, what's getting a little bit weird in our economy is like if you look at like the S&P 500 or whatever the fucking Nasdaq or whatever, like all these grouped up stock portfolios. What you basically have is more and more and more money going into institutions that are selecting for the highest and largest companies, and more money is going into the biggest and biggest companies, and then that returns, like those returns actually tend to be really good. Like they actually outperform, like regular stockbrokers. So everyone wants to invest into the ISP 500, fucking Nasdaq, whatever the fuck, Dow Jones Industrial Average, and so everyone keeps investing in it, and so you have more and more money pooling into like a very limited list of companies, and then you actually start to have to ask the question: are these companies actually worth the value, or are they overinflated based off of just the trajectory and the momentum of how shit has been going in the market? And maybe this is something that we might want to start questioning at some point, because maybe this actually isn't like the best way to do things. Like it's because I've been starting to think about that a little bit.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
you
I've
probably should.
wondered like the value, it's like where do we get in the first place? Seems like, oh fuck, we just made it up. It's like whatever somebody was willing to like spend, or like what it was appraised at. Like what is an appraisal? Like I don't know if there's like a way of making that objective, right? Because ultimately it's going to come down to somebody saying like, yeah, I think it's worth that much, right? And just kind of like pulling something out of their ass, right? But if we do this, like I guess if we use this as like the basis for like an economy, or not just an economy, but like a market, like I don't know, the financial sector, and then we like, I don't know, give it like authority, because I guess money allows you to do shit, in the current economy. I think
I
you would
mean,
end
like
up with
that's
like
like literally like what is it? It's like 70 or eighty
bullshit.
percent of like the entire fucking stock market is literally like boomers, and like they have to be able to retire. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's literally why we give it power.